Welcome to Secret Story. Dear friends, thank you very much for watching. Leave comments, put likes, share with friends and subscribe to the channel. Here is a new standalone story. Thanks for bearing with us. We have many more to catch and new ones, so keep reading. Thanks for your loyalty. Like and comment. But most of all, enjoy. It had been a slow day at Brown's Hardware this Monday. I had been restocking a big shipment of items I had ordered a year ago, and they finally had come. Sam, my normal stock boy, was out sick after his wisdom teeth were removed, so I had to do all the work today. I was tired, so I took my leave when the afternoon crew arrived and headed home. I stopped for a quick burger and then headed home. Hoping my friend Eric had been there finishing installing the new hot tub we put in over the weekend. He had some final things to finish with the plumbing, and we would be set. I hoped it was fully functional when I got home, so I could soothe my aching muscles from all the boxes I tossed around today. As I pulled up to my house, the Tillman plumbing truck was still sitting out front, so Eric must be finishing. That was good. Amy and I could christen the tub tonight with a little wine that I pulled into the garage and went inside. As I walked into the kitchen, I saw 2 plates with half-eaten burgers, 2 empty wine bottles, and a snuffed-out blunt in an ashtray on the island. I heard some cool jazz playing coming from the outdoor speakers. I was about to call out for Amy when I listened to a little giggle, and she flitted in through the open sliding door, across the kitchen, and down the hall. Jesus, and she didn't see me, so I stepped back into the corner shadows and watched, trying to figure out what was happening. Eric came in a few seconds later, following Amy down the hall, and must have been in our new hot tub. Seeing both of them confused me. I shook my head and slipped back out into the garage to think. I am an intelligent man, so the puzzle pieces fell into place quickly. Wife, former friend, 2 empty wine bottles, a half-smoked blunt, and a new hot tub, and what do you have? A gigantic, cheating mess. I sat on a stool at my workbench and thought about what I should do. I could get a gun out of my safe, load it. I could claim that I was overwrought with anger and jealousy and went crazy, but no, that was too messy, and it would leave our 2 beautiful children with no mother and a dad that could go to jail. No, that created a similar problem with the kids and a broken home, but at this point, I didn't see how divorce could be avoided. I stood up, stretched, and took a deep breath. This mess sucked. I walked to the security system and flipped on the monitor screen. The 6 cameras covering the main parts of the house flashed up. They were back in the kitchen, opening another bottle of wine as Eric lit up another blunt. Again, well, that answered one of my questions. They had been for a while today and maybe other days as well. I was getting pretty heated up now. The flush of anger crawled up the back of my neck. I was approaching rage that, if I wasn't careful, might send me over the edge, and there was no telling what might happen then. Then I saw Amy push Eric away, hop down off the counter, grab his hand, I want in the hot tub again, and drag him out the door. I stood there stunned at her behavior. Who was this woman? Certainly not the woman I married 11 years ago, the mother of our children, and the president of our church, Women's League. I do not know this woman now, and I am not sure I ever want to know her again. It was clear that Amy thought I was still at work and wouldn't be home for several more hours. I was about to create a great doubt in her mind about that. I manually opened the garage door and slowly backed my truck into the street. I went back into the garage and closed the door as quietly as possible. I walked silently into the house. I heard Amy's, that disgusted me that I opened the fridge, took out a beer, guzzled it, and crushed the can in my fist. I sat the crushed can beside the empty wine bottle and ashtray. I turned to the front door, opened it, and stepped out. I pulled the door closed as hard as I could, slamming it loudly. I walked down the steps and out of my truck and got inside. I never looked back at the house as I drove up the street. As Amy, how did this happen? Why? Right then. I didn't care. We had several more hours before Josh would be home. What I was doing was crazy. I had never cheated or even thought about cheating on Eric until Saturday when Josh was here, and they were working on our new hot tub. It was a hot day. Josh had to run down to his hardware store for a few things needed to finish the installation. While Josh was gone, Eric took a break, and I made him a sandwich. We were sitting outside, so I could start to work on my early summer tan. While Eric ate, I started to put on sunscreen. I got my front, arms, and legs done, but I couldn't do my back. I lay down on the lounger and looked at Eric. I looked up at Eric. He smiled at me, and he caught me looking at his. I blushed and laid my head down. Then I had an evil thought. I looked back at him and asked, "Eric, can you put sunscreen on my back, please?" Eric said nothing but moved over to the lounger beside me. After, he stopped. "Okay, that does it." I sighed. "Oh, you're done. That felt so good. You should be a masseuse." "I am not too sure about that. I would get myself in trouble too often, I am afraid." "How?" I asked as I turned up slightly. "Well, if I were massaging beautiful women like you, I would have to work hard to keep it under control or get in trouble." I knew what he was talking about, but I wanted to tease him, so I asked, "What kind of trouble?" There was silence. "Eric. What kind of trouble?" "It's just a massage." I am unsure what got into me. Later, after Josh got home, he went to change clothes. I cornered Eric. "You are coming Monday to finish everything, right?" "Yes, but Amy, this isn't right. I am married, and you are my friend's wife." "Eric, I want, and that will be it. Josh will never find out, and I will be happy, and I know you will be." Jesus, what was I saying? I quickly kissed Eric as he packed up his tools and stowed them beside the hot tub on the deck. One more day and the work would be finished. Josh came down, and things were normal. Eric left, saying he would be back on Monday to finish the job with the supplies Josh had brought home. Sunday was a normal day. We went to get our kids and had a nice family day. They were excited that the hot tub would be completed tomorrow, and we set down some house rules about their use of the hot tub to keep them safe. We played a family game of Pictionary and ordered pizza. It was a wonderful day together. The next morning, we got the kids off to school, and Josh went to the store. Eric arrived, and I happily greeted him. Eric pushed me back, holding my shoulders at arm's length and looking into my eyes. "No, Amy, we can't do this. It is so wrong. Eric is my friend, and I can't do this to him." He turned as if he was leaving. Then Eric stopped. "You need to leave while I finish the hot tub. I will text you when I am finished for today, and you can come back home then." I looked at Eric, disappointed that he was rejecting me, but I did understand that my behavior was strange even to me. "Okay, I will leave you alone. I understand, and I don't know what has gotten into me. Can I at least see it once?" "I don't think that is a good idea. You need to leave now." "Okay, I have some shopping, so I'll be gone for a couple of hours. Text me when you are finished. I won't mess with you again. You are a good friend." I left, went to the gym, went shopping, and even stopped at the store to see Josh kill some time. Then I went grocery shopping and got a text from Eric. Eric's text, "All finished. You can come home now, and I need to show you how to use the controls and tell you about cleaning and hygiene." It was about lunchtime, so I bought some burgers on the way home for Eric and me, a peace offering. As Eric, I was happy to finish the hot tub work and get away from Amy. I cleaned up around the hot tub and put away all my gear and tools. It was hot today, so I didn't turn on the water heater, just the jets. The water bubbled and looked appetizing. I had brought a swimsuit, so I went inside and changed. I looked around and found a bottle of Merlot and opened it, setting it out to breathe. I heard the garage open, so I went to see if I could help Amy with anything. "Hi Eric, looks like you are ready to try the hot tub." It is easier to show you how it all works and you are in the tub and can see and feel all the changes from the different settings. I will help you with your bags and then we can try it out. We brought in all the food and put it away. Then Amy went to change. She had bought some burgers for our lunch, so I heated them and opened the bag of chips. I poured 2 glasses of wine and set the table for us to eat. As I put the bottle of wine on the table, I heard Amy as she came into the room. I turned, and Jesus, there before me, was a goddess. She had put her hair up on her head in a French something. "My God, Amy, you look incredible." Instantly responded. There was no hiding it. Oh, I see your friend also likes my new little suit. I bought it just now for you, Josh. I take it you like it. It's not too small, is it? I couldn't talk. I moved to the other side of the table and sat down. We need to eat now. Amy sashayed over to the table and sat down. She never took her eyes off me. I watched Amy take a bite of her burger and chew it. She was winning the battle. I ate most of my burger, and we finished 1 bottle of wine and opened another. I left the table to get something I knew would finish the meal appropriately, preparing us for what was next. I returned with 2 big blunts, and I laid them on the table between us. Amy looked at them and then at me. I lit it, took a big hit, and then passed it to Amy. She took a big hit also, and the afternoon was underway. We drank wine and smoked, and there were no inhibitions between us. Eric was a mere thought in the past. Amy stood up. She walked around the table to me and pulled me up. "Do you think you can it?" "Well, I will try." With that, Amy began. No, I need to rephrase that. I was so envious of Josh for the next 15 minutes. Jesus, Amy, it was just incredible. Amy stood, leading me out to the hot tub. "Eric, it's time you show me all the tricks I need to know." "No, baby, you already know all the tricks," I said as Amy. First, he showed me all the controls and the best nozzle positions. But I was not listening. That I was cheating on my husband. What was wrong with me? I looked at Eric, and he saw it in my face. I went into the bedroom and slammed the door. Eric must have followed me and was banging on the door. I finally let him in, and he grabbed me. "It will be okay, Amy. Josh will never know." I shook free of him and looked into his eyes. "It's already too late now. What's done is done, so take me back out there." Eric pulled me to the kitchen, and he lit another blunt, and we finished the bottle of wine, and we both drank a big glass full and smoked. Then I heard a loud noise, and I froze. "Eric, what was that?" It sounded like the front door slamming. I panicked and jumped out of the water. Grabbed a towel, and ran into the house to the front door. I saw nothing outside, and I ran to the garage, and nothing was there either. I walked back into the kitchen, and Eric was standing by the island with a concerned look. "Amy, did you drink a beer and crush the can sitting right here?" Eric pointed to the crushed can on the counter. I looked at Eric. "You didn't do it?" "No, oh my God, Josh was here, and he saw us. He crushes cans all the time. He was the one that slammed the front door, telling me he knew." Eric ran from the kitchen, changed his clothes, and left without a word. I was shaking as I stood in the kitchen. I was so confused and had no idea how to make this right. If that was even possible. As Josh, I drove to my parents and asked my mom to get the kids. Amy and I had a business meeting tonight, and we needed them taken care of. They had clothes there so they could stay the night, and I would take them to school in the morning. I must have done a great acting job. She bought the whole story. I went by my store and went in through the back. I picked up a few things I needed to deal with the situation. Then I drove to Josh's house. I saw his truck was in the driveway, so I parked, blocking him from leaving. I got out and took out the items I got at the store. I took the 9-inch hunting knife, and I slashed all 4 tires. I took the sledgehammer and smashed his headlights and all the windows. I opened the gas tank and poured a bag of instant dry secrete into the tank. I returned to my truck, loaded the gun with 50 pellets, and put 3 gas cylinders in my pocket. I walked up to his door and banged it with a small hand sledgehammer, and I got no reaction, so I slammed the hammer into the door panels until the door was destroyed. I walked into his house. Eric's wife Karen was not home, thank God. I wanted her to find him, and he would have to explain what happened. I heard the shower running, so Eric had not heard anything I had done, and he was in for a real shock. I sat on the couch with the pellet pistol aimed at the hallway. A few minutes passed, and Eric called out, "Karen, is that you?" Then he stepped into view, and I popped him twice in the legs, dropping him to his knees. I was up and on him in seconds. My final act was a manual one. I leaned over. I stared into Eric's eyes and screamed at him. "Eric, you were my friend, but you have crossed the line now. You will never see the money I owe you for the rest of the hot tub work. I will leave it with you to explain what has happened here, and to your truck, it will never run again. Do you understand?" I turned and walked out. I stopped. "Eric, I won't send Karen the video of the 2 hours with Amy unless you force me to. But I will if I get any grief from you." I got in my truck and drove off as neighbors came out to see what was happening. As Eric, Josh was waiting for me. What did he say about my truck, and what did he do to my door? God, that was close. I would have been damaged forever. Thank God the wounds were not bleeding badly, so I bandaged them, took some Advil, and got dressed. I cleaned up the floor and went to look at the door. Jesus, he destroyed it. That I looked out and saw a few neighbors being nosy. I stepped out through the door and yelled. "It's okay, a little misunderstanding is all. I am fine." They all went back inside. I went down to look at my truck. Jesus Christ, Josh had destroyed it. The tires were flat. The lights and windows were all broken, the gas cap was open, and a half-empty bag of instant concrete was lying on the driveway. He wasn't lying. It never would run again. Suddenly I had this sad, confused feeling. I knew I had lost my lifelong friend. Josh reacted just like he should have. I deserved all his anger and probably more. What we had done will destroy both our marriages and up 4 people's lives, all for on a hot afternoon. How stupid could I be? Just then, my wife's car pulled up, and she jumped out of it and ran past me into the house, saying nothing. The look on her face was anger, and I could see that tears were streaming down her cheeks. "Karen, what is it? What is the matter?" No response. I returned to the house and found Karen in the bedroom, packing 2 cases with her clothes. "Karen, what is going on?" She never looked at me as she reached into her pocket and opened her phone, tossing it on the bed. I picked it up and saw a picture of me kissing Amy. There were 2 more pictures. Josh said he would not send the video but didn't say anything about pictures. "Karen, Karen looked up and interrupted me. "Eric, shut the up. There is no explanation." She grabbed the bags and pushed past me and out the door. I followed, begging her, but she wasn't hearing any of it. Karen slammed the door to her car, shot me the bird, and raced off down the street. Oh, what now? As I drove away from Eric's house, my adrenaline spiked, and I was on some emotional high. I knew I needed to calm down before I went home to deal with Amy, or I might do something bad to her. I decided to go to my store and do some more stocking. That would burn off some of my energy, though it would do nothing for my emotions. As I drove, I thought about Amy and me and our family. I never imagined that in my lifetime Amy would cheat on me or that I would cheat on her. I thought we were so in love that no other man could ever penetrate the love shield we had built around our family. I couldn't imagine what had happened to cause her to let down her protection. Our life had been almost perfect. When we married, we created a plan. We lived our lives together, working toward our goal. In the first few years, we strengthened our relationship. Then we started the business I wanted, and Amy worked to support us during that time. After 2 years, the company was stable, and we were making good money, so Amy came to work as an employee of the store doing our books and admin duties. We loved working together. Next, we started to work on our family. 13 months later, Joshua Jr. was born, followed a year later by Laura Beth, our beautiful daughter. We stopped at 2 since we were lucky to have both a boy and a girl. From that day forward, our lives have been picture perfect until today. But now I don't know what our life is. So why would Amy cheat on me, on us, on our family? It didn't make any sense that I had no idea why, but I was about to get my answer. I skipped the store and drove straight home. I pulled into the driveway. I got out and pulled the sledgehammer out of the truck. I walked into the house and went to the deck. I sat the sledgehammer down beside the hot tub and called out, "Amy, come out on the deck, please." Being as polite as I could, I sat in a deck chair and waited. 5 minutes, then 10 minutes went by, and no Amy. I walked to the sliding door, opening it. There on the floor in front of the entrance, sat Amy sobbing. I stood looking down at her. My heart ached as I watched her. She was in a great deal of emotional turmoil and pain. Saying nothing, I left the door open and walked back to my seat. I sat looking at Amy in real distress. I was sad, confused, and angry. I didn't understand how, after all our years together, suddenly the woman I loved, and the woman that loved me, could suddenly be so shallow and inconsiderate as to betray me as she had. It just didn't make sense. There had to be an explanation. I waited. I had all night and was not moving until she gathered herself and spoke to me. Minutes went by, and we were approaching an hour. Amy was no longer crying but just sat there looking at me. I was emotionally drained, and I needed answers. "Amy, are you just going to sit there and not speak to me? Not trying to explain what I saw here today, not caring about me or my feelings or what you have done to our family? What has happened to you in the past 24 hours? You are no longer the woman I married, you are someone else I do not recognize." Her head dropped, and tears started to flow again. I sat back and waited longer. Finally, Amy stood. She was wearing a robe, and as she walked to me, it fluttered open. She walked to me and stopped, and she looked down at me. "Josh, the first thing I have to say is that I am so sorry for letting what happened today happen. The second thing I must say is I have no plausible explanation for what happened. I have thought it through, over and over 1,000 times. And have no understanding of what happened and how I could have let it happen. It is like I was a completely different person, someone I do not recognize or have never surfaced before. She looked like me and spoke in my voice, but she acted irresponsibly with no consideration for you, our family, or herself. I do not know who that person is or was. But Josh, the most important thing is that I love you with all my heart and soul and will always love you. Eric means nothing to me, just a friend. I cannot explain today, but I swear that person will never surface again. Please do not toss me away, please." I listened and had to agree that we loved each other dearly and that what happened was with a different person than my normal wife. Neither of us had ever seen that person before. The big question was, could I get past this? I knew Amy could. The last thing she wanted was for us to divorce. That was the last thing I also wanted, but how do we get by this? "Amy, I want you to move your things into the guest room for a while until I can deal with your betrayal. I want you to take an STD test tomorrow, and you can work from home until further notice. Our kids are old enough to know there is a problem, but it will not be discussed, and they will never know what took place here today, understood? Eric and Karen are no longer our friends, and I doubt they will be married much longer anyway. I have dealt with him this afternoon. And his name will never be spoken again." I finished and sat looking at Amy. Her expression changed when I said I had taken care of Eric. A look of concern came over her. "Oh no, Josh, what did you do? He is okay, just slightly wounded, and his truck will never run again. Plus, I shared 3 pictures of you too, with Karen. She needed to know what happened. Oh, and he needs a new front door. What did you do? That is all you need to know, and never mention his name again. That is all that I am saying for now. Josh, what is the sledgehammer for? When I came home, then I realized I would have to destroy the kitchen island and probably our bedroom. I decided to leave them as reminders and may even add a little plaque commemorating the event. And it would act as a constant reminder. Oh God, Josh, no, we were never in our bed, only the kitchen counter, hot tub, and the deck lounger. Please don't destroy anything. God, I am so sorry. Josh, I beg you, please forgive me. I made an incredibly bad mistake. Just then, my iPhone buzzed. I pulled out my phone and saw a text from Karen. Karen's text, Josh, can we meet tomorrow? My text, yes, you and me only, no Eric. Who was that? Nothing, just work stuff. I am hungry. You want pizza? Amy nodded, so I ordered Domino's home delivery. We sat there until the pizza came without a word between us. We ate and I told Amy I would get the kids from my parents and take them to school in the morning. Then they would catch the bus home as normal, and we agreed things had to be as normal as possible. I went to my room and locked the door. I was tired and needed sleep. I took a shower and collapsed into bed. As my emotions calmed, I shed a few tears, wondering if our life was over. I finally slept through the night. I woke when my alarm went off. I showered, dressed, and opened my door. Amy was lying on the floor outside the bedroom door, wrapped in a blanket and clutching a pillow. My heart hurt, seeing her there. She needed me, and I shut her out. That I silently stepped past her and went to the kitchen, made coffee, and ate a bowl of cereal and fruit. I wrote Amy a letter, putting down my thoughts from overnight. Dear Amy, this is a difficult letter to write, but these things must be said. What you did yesterday is unacceptable and inexcusable. I am not sure how we can move forward. I have loved you unconditionally since our first date, and I have never wanted anyone else. The thought never entered my mind. Certainly, I recognize a beautiful woman when I see one, but I have never considered moving on one and cheating on you. That I always thought you felt the same way, had unconditional love for me, and would never cheat on me. That is not the case now, is it? Worse, you cheated on me with one of my best friends. Someone I have been friends with and loved since the 4th grade. I now must cut him out of my life for what he did. And I need to cut you out as well. It seems like the right thing to do. I will give us one chance. For mandatory conditions you must agree to if we are to stay together. First, I will have a postnuptial agreement drawn up specifically to cover infidelity by either of us. Since there is no chance that I will ever cheat on you, this agreement is for my and our children's protection. The terms will be harsh on you should you ever cheat on me again. I hope the agreement will hang over you as a constant reminder that I love you and our children and will do anything to protect them. Second, we will attend counseling together to try and fix our broken marriage. In addition, you will also participate in individual counseling to help you understand how you became this other person overnight and how to prevent that from happening in the future. If I am needed in those sessions, I will make myself available. Third, you must tell both your and my parents what you have done and why our family is in turmoil. It will be obvious to them shortly, so that must be done in the next few days. Fourth, no one outside the family will ever hear about what has happened. No one. If you agree and sign the agreement, then get the results of the STD test, and you will be allowed to move back into our bedroom. The other parts will have to happen in time. Amy, I love you now as I have always loved you. I don't want to lose you. I hope you feel the same and can find a way to prove it to me through a renewed dedication to our family and me. Think this over and tell me your response tonight in person. Love Joshua. I left the letter under her coffee cup and went to get the kids from my parents to take them to school. They were happy to see me, but my mom had a suspicious eye. Is everything okay, Josh? There are some issues. Amy will be talking to you in the next day or two, and it will be okay. Off to school, we went. I promised the kids I would cook hamburgers on the grill, and they could play in the new hot tub. I went to work, opened the store, and sent a text to Karen. My text, when and where? Karen's text, my mom's house, 1 p.m. My text, okay, the address. She sent the address. Then I called my attorney and set an appointment for later in the day that I gave Amy a couple of hours and texted her, my text, STD test today. Amy's text, done. Results in 1 to 3 days. It was promising that Amy had moved so fast. Karen and I met. She was terribly upset and wanted to know what I knew. I told her what I had seen and heard. Amy and I have not gone over the details, and I am not sure I want them. I know that and that's all I need to know. It was all just a lust-driven crime of instant passion, no love, and not an ongoing thing. I think they both knew they had up when it was over. Are you divorcing Amy? No, I love her, and it would be so messy. We can get through this with counseling, some new rules, and a postnuptial agreement. She is so ashamed and in a bad state right now, feeling guilty about all of us. I was so angry. Over Eric. I shot him with pellets and broke his hand. I up his truck, it will never run again, and you guys need a new front door. I feel bad about it now, but maybe he deserved it. After I got your text with the pictures, I went home ready to kill Eric. When I saw him, he didn't look good, and the door was smashed in. I didn't talk to him, ignored everything he said, and packed. I walked back out and saw his truck. It didn't look good. You really did a number on it. So, you haven't talked to Eric? No, I don't know what I am going to do. Eric has been blowing up my phone, but I have ignored him. God, I love him, how could he do this and with Amy, my best friend? Karen, I think it was a spontaneous event. Fueled by a lot of wine, a couple of big blunts. It was a one-off, something that will never happen again. Josh, you think that is true? Yes, there has never been anything between them before except friendship. Circumstances happened, and this happened, but it will never happen again. I think they both realize how reckless they were. And what it has cost them and what it could still cost them. Karen, do you love Eric enough to get by this? If so, you need to make him suffer any way you can, then get over it and move on. I don't want you to break up over this mess unless you are already unhappy and see this as a way out. No, I love Eric. I will have to make him suffer, then forgive him and Amy. 2. Karen, if you need to talk more, let me know. Okay, Josh, thanks for the talk. I feel better now. Time to with Eric's head. I headed off to Ben Taylor, my lawyer. After an hour with Ben, we hammered out the postnuptial agreement. We discussed the whole situation and what divorce would look like. I was not going there, but I wanted to know how the law would treat me if I had to move that way. It was not good. When I woke, I saw Josh had left for the day. I showered and went to the kitchen. There was coffee made, and under my coffee cup, there was a letter from Josh. My heart pounded when I saw it. I dreaded reading it, afraid of what it said that I sat at the counter and read his letter. In the first few lines, he worried me. He said he was kicking me out. But then he offered some hope. I had to do 4 things. What was a postnuptial agreement? Number 2, counseling would be good for us. I did need to learn how to control this other me. Number 3, how could I tell my and Josh's parents what I had done? The thought of that is me wanting to vomit. That was the hardest one of his requirements. Number 4 was easy, thank God we did have a chance, but how was I going to able to tell our parents? I text Josh, my text, read your letter. I agree with everything. What is a postnuptial agreement? Josh, how will I tell our parents I am a cheater? I love you. Come home. I need to talk to you. I sat down and began to write out my confession without details. I wrote it 4 times before I had it so I could say it. When I was finished, I put the plain confession on the counter and the detailed one in my secret paper stash, which Josh knows nothing about. I went online and found several counselors and chose one, calling them and making an appointment for Thursday, the day after I would tell our parents. The next 2 days were hard on us, sleeping apart and not talking or holding each other. We spent time with our kids, but it was silent once they were in bed. Sadness hung in the air. Wednesday came, and we invited our parents to dinner at our house. They knew something was up since this was a rare occasion. I farmed the kids off with a neighbor, and at 6 p.m., the inquisition began. We were all smiles and laughter, getting caught up on what they had been up to, but the elephant was in the room. Then we ate a meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green bean dinner with salad and rolls. Once we had finished eating, the women cleaned up, and the men got a beer and went out to look at the new hot tub. They came back in as we finished, and we all sat in the living room, and my trial was to begin. We all sat looking at each other until I took a deep breath and started. We are happy to have you here tonight, but you are here because I have a confession to make to you for. My heart was pounding out of my chest. And I couldn't imagine the look on my face. Last Monday, while Josh was at the store, I cheated on him with his best friend, Eric Tillman. It was a spontaneous event, with no pre-planning or thought of it happening before it happened. It just happened. Please do not ask me to explain it further because I cannot. I am so ashamed of what I did that I let it happen, and I swear it will never happen again. There I got it out. Then with tears rolling down my cheeks, I looked at all our parents, they were in total shock. Then the questions started with all of them coming simultaneously, and Josh quickly saved me and shot them all down. We are not answering any questions. No, we are not getting a divorce. And that is all we are saying about this. Now, who would like dessert? Amy did a great job manning up and admitting to our parents. I was proud of her, and it was an extremely hard thing to do. Amy signed the postnuptial agreement. She was not happy, but she swore it would never be needed. We went to counseling the next day, and our healing began. Amy's STD test returned negative, so that night, she moved back into our bed. 2 weeks passed with us sleeping together on opposite sides of the bed. It was hard, but it needed to happen. I asked Amy's parents to keep the kids for the weekend on Friday. It was time to reclaim my wife and start our new life together. By midnight we were worn out. There had been tears, apologies. We fell asleep in each other's arms, happy to have survived a terrible mistake. Our new life had begun and would last forever. As for Eric and Karen, they loved each other, so they survived as well. It took 6 months before I could speak to Eric, but we agreed never to mention what had happened, ever. We are back on good terms, not as good as before, but we are friends. The moral of my story is, life throws many roadblocks in your way, and if you are not watching close enough, one of them can wreck your life, but when love is real and strong, any damage can be repaired. Love the one you're with. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. No part of this story can be reproduced in any form or by any electronic or mechanical means without written permission from the author. All characters are fictitious, and any similarity to actual people, living or dead, events, or locales is entirely coincidental unless otherwise state. Dear friends, thank you very much for watching. Leave comments, put likes, share with friends and subscribe to the channel.